It's your boy at Big Game James _36. This is Big Games BS. Part of Dead Media Group, brought to you by thehumidor.com. Thehumidor.com is the go-to website for all things tobacco related. Check us out. Type in sports den at checkout. Get 20% off. Spend over $150, you get free shipping. Inside the world's greatest cigar lounge, Goodfellas Cigar Lounge. It's like Cheers with a mob twist. Everybody knows your name, but anybody can get these hands. Hold on. Check us out. Got to do the shares here. Since, we can't really get everybody on page to be doing it first, but there's a lot of things to go into. We got first day of spring ball for a lot of people, a lot of schools. Tons of NFL cool stuff and drama, just all kinds of mixed up in there. It's a really weird world. But we're gonna dive into it because there's a way to look at it, and I think people traditionally, when you talk about it this way, they make it about what it's not. But this is where America is starting to trend towards, which it still looks like it's still discrimination, but like it's trending toward capitalism is making it this way. It's the haves and the have-nots. The haves want to keep the haves, and the nots want to have what the haves got. So I mean, those are the things that I'm finding, pretty interesting going on with the NFL. But before we get into that, obviously we start every show off with the ask. As we're, if you like the show, I would ask you to share it. I would ask you to subscribe. And if you would consider becoming a member, that's something that I would like for you to do as well. I will say this, it's been pretty effective. And I think me dropping the FSU spring preview for me being there helped out a lot. But as of this moment, I need somebody to tell me how this shit happens. Are some of y'all that petty to where you'll take your like back, take your sub back on YouTube? But anyways, we have over 1,700, so 1,700, and it was 10 half a second, but now it's 1,709 subs. So that means we need 291 more so that we can give away the $200 live on air on the show. We've had a lot of people subscribe in the last week, so that's dope. Continue to do that. I'll probably put out some more FSU coverage today. Another quick 15-minute, 10 to 15-minute practice update. And StreamYard allows us to chop it up too, so we'll chop up stuff so you don't have to watch the whole show. You can just watch that quick segment. So that'd be cool as well. Yeah, that's basically the housekeeping. But we get to 2,000 subs, then we give away $200. 1,000 subs on the personal, we give away $100. And every time we go about 1,000, I give away 10% to the people. Show for the people. Basically, that's what we're doing. We also still have the updates on SoundCloud, so you can still check it out on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Spotify, if that's the way that you choose to consume it. Also, once we get to 30, we're at 12 members. Once we get to 30 members, we will have a special Friday night mixer somewhere in Tallahassee for the spring game. So on April 14th, we'll have a mixer or get together on April 14th. Right now we're at 12. If you're rewatching this, I'll make sure I put the link to become a member in the description. But there's also, you should be able to look at it if you're watching this on YouTube right now. So all right, that's enough of the housekeeping. Going into the nitty-gritty, Miami, Florida, and Florida State have all started their spring practices. So you get 15 practices per the NCAA, and your scrimmage being considered one of them. Miami scrimmages on Florida scrimmages on April 13th. Miami scrimmages on April 14th. Florida State scrimmages on April 15th. And right here, people got to get your get close. You got to get close. You got to get your rhythm and your technique. And Miami has dropped like this same what it feels like, this same video right here. This is Tyler Van Dyke throwing to somebody. The explosiveness of Mario Cristobal offense right there, and you can see the young man. I think this is a in route. I thought it was a slant. I told somebody that the other day, but basically they're just running a simple route here, and the guy can't falls. For those who are listening, so like it's not just there's no coverage, one-on-ones, just what we expect to see from the University of Miami coming into the spring, who's still hiring coaches. Shout out to Jason Taylor, they promoted him from within, Hall of Fame defensive end. Pretty good ball player. Don't know if he's a good coach, but Miami was struggling. So if you can go skip past ours in the last 2.5 miles, we can go check out the University of Florida. It should be like DLATOR. Yeah, you can check that one out right here. The University of Florida, they started their spring ball as well. They got some stuff going right here. You can see clips. Nick is pretty good at this. Just a little bag drill, you know, working on getting off of the jam. You know, nothing bad. There's nothing you can pick that one. Can't pick on them. That's expert. That's clutch right there. That's when you know you got a guy who's a veteran in this game. But the next tweet that we're going to show, not so much. This is what do they call them? Money Mertz or Murder Mertz. Transfer from Wisconsin, right here, crisp. That's exactly where you want the ball to go, behind the receiver, so that they have to twirl around, make a catch, and possibly get laid out in the middle of the field. Hopefully, you pick up the targeting penalty. That's the strategy behind it. You pick up the targeting so that you get rid of a player from the opposing team, and you get 15 yards. That's playing 4D chess. That's next level thinking with a guy with a water pistol for an arm. My Florida fans are pulling on to the Miami Hurricanes frame of thinking with trolling, and they're calling him Murder Mertz. Which what they forget is that Florida went through about 25 other quarterback options before they got to this guy, and Wisconsin basically told him he can't come back. So, congratulations, I guess. You had a quarterback that was a pedophile or that watched kitty porn. You had a quarterback that's decided that he wants to play baseball. You had the possible first overall pick, and you didn't do anything with him. But this Pillsbury complected Pilgrim is going to be the savior of Florida football. Right now, if we're basing it off of the couple spring practices, Miami and Florida would be lucky to win a combined 8 games. So, but it's the spring T-shirt Olympics. We'll see how things go. Florida State had their first spring practice on Monday, and as the tradition for me, I go check it out. And we gave a great. I'm not going to give a detailed update here. What I would encourage you to do is go check out on the YouTube channel. We gave a detailed update, and we also have it broken down into offensive position groups so that you can consume it a little bit easier. But it's only 15. I think it's 18 minutes where I discuss everything right here. We got little bro, Kalen DeLoach, who I thought was wearing shoulder pads. He's gotten thicker across the chest. Those are spider pads. Those are the pads that you wear under your shoulder pads. So little bro finna be out there looking real menacing, going into hopefully his final season. You see Miguel Blanco, as I affectionately call him, White Mike, was out there getting after it, just running around like he was on a kite. These guys right here are 2 transfers. You've got Keandre Jones, number 75, and I think it's Kassan Reddick, who's only got 1 year, and that's number 70, the light-skinned one, from Colorado. We got some large mammals going on in there. I just wanted people to see that. And then here's another up close look. This is how you want your offensive linemen to look. They look the part. They look big. They look like they have muscle mass. A lot of cool things were going on. We had little nephew was there. Call him that because I've known him his whole life. Played with his dad. Hung out with his dad all week. Antonio Cromartie Jr. was out at the practices. I've got a kid, John Mitchell. We call him John. He's going out to go check out the practices today. Florida State's going to have a ton of young men and top recruits come in. This is like the feeling of success. What happens when you win? People want to come and hang out with you, want to participate, want to see what's going on. Got a lot of guys coming in. One of the things that I did notice about spring ball was that there was a lot of tremendous energy. Mike still does his yelling shit and getting on people. I didn't talk about the tight ends, so I guess I could give you a tight end preview here. Best tight end room we've probably had in Florida State in quite some time. You've got Biscuit. What's Biscuit's real name? I don't know. I figure out. You know Biscuit. If you know Florida State, you know who Biscuit is. Tight end, big body. And he actually showed he's a little bit more athletic. Got great hands, great size. I'm not saying he's going to run the 40, but he could be great value. Darnell Washington, who I just talked about, did a breakdown of his 40 technique. Big guy, extra tackle that can catch, which I think the NFL is going to like to have moving forward into the NFL as the game evolves. Murlock, you can see another big body, 6'7", 260 pounds. He is starting to Marquiston Douglas. Thank you. Appreciate that. Biscuit. I like Biscuit better. Murlock is a guy who's got to get used to the pace of a high intensity type of practice. And he's doing a good job. It's going to take him a second. The X factor, and my friend Dibby asked me about this. He said you didn't talk about Jaheim Bell. Jaheim Bell is literally, that should be his nickname, the X factor. That might be what I call him. We may need to get that sound, the X factor music, the do-do-do-do. Because I'm telling you, I saw him do some things on the seam route where the last few seasons, we have a guy catch it, and it's a great catch, and it's a possession. But now we have a guy that's going to catch it, and it's probably going to be gone. It's probably going to be a touchdown if he's in the middle of the field. You have to account for where he's at in the middle of the field at all times, which occupies a safety, which means you now cannot really – now if you double team one of our wide receivers, Johnny Taylor being one of those guys that probably will double team, if you double team that guy, you are literally putting yourself in a precarious situation with a ton of one-on-ones with our wide receivers, with guys getting healthy, a ton of different things like that. And we still have other guys that are there that probably could come in, like Parker Douglas, I believe. There's a couple other guys that could still rise to the top. But the reality is Jaheim Bell, Biscuit, Marquiston Douglas, and Murlock will probably be your three primary guys. The other guys will probably try to fill a role of what Jaheim Bell does after this. Now, Jaheim Bell, for those who don't know, came from the University of South Carolina, played some of everything last year. Running back, threw a touchdown, I believe, wide receiver. He was a wide receiver coming out of high school that gained some weight, and now he's at Florida State. And I think he's here to play football. He's not here to play academics. He's just, again, as I call it, the X factor. So much so that I'm telling you guys, I told y'all how I do trolls. I don't have time for that sometimes. When I'm making a point, trust and believe. So a young man comes up and says, oh, he's going to be an X factor when he didn't have 0 yards against the 100th ranked defense. I'm like, okay, fine. You believe that strongly that Jaheim Bell isn't going to be any good, right? Bet. No problem. No quarrels with your thought process. I said, put a stack on it. He's a University of Florida fan. I said, I bet you $1,000 that Jaheim Bell will have more than 0 yards against the University of Florida. And you know what that young man said? He did everything but accept the bet. And I said, he talked a lot of tweets. I said, you know what? I appreciate you through your tweets admitting that you're just trolling. Because you know as well as I know what this young man can do and what he brings to it. But again, what the tight end position in today's offense, and not just the tight end at Florida State, the Florida State throws the ball really well to the running back core. Let me pull up these stats to make sure that I'm not imagining this shit. Hold on. FSU passing, no, receiving. Passing would be by our boy, who also looked really, really good, by the way. J Trav. J Trav looked good. I had to start looking at what's the odds for the Heisman. By the way, I want people to realize this. We had 990, 628, 457 by top 3 running backs. That's about how you want it to go, baby. Receiving. Toafili had 268. Not bad. Trey Benson had 144. Not bad. We catch the ball pretty good out of the backfield. Cam McDonald had 312. Marquiston Douglas had 190. So now if you're adding some production to the tight end and the running back, means that it just opens up the door for the wide receivers. You have to be accountable for everybody that is on that football field in the passing game, as well as in the RPO, as well as us running an RPO. You can't guess right on all of those things. Defense has rules. You must make a decision, and the best thing you can do is try to get to the passer and try to hit people. But we got some meat grinders now on the offensive line, so that I think that's going to make Florida State look good. Again, first day of practice. I'm not going to tell you anything about national championship. I do know the first practice that I saw last year, first thing I said was, whoa, this is different. This year, I can't say it as excited as I was last year because we were so bad the previous years. Now it's looking like what we're supposed to look like. If I ever come in and say, whoa, that's a big change, that's a drastic change, I'm probably going to put the money down for the Natty. But right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the money down for Charlotte. And we're going to probably be throwing a couple more tailgates than what people think. And I think we're going to whoop Clemson's ass. So that's basically a quick spring preview of the big 3. Obviously, Georgia's doing some stuff. I might go check them out at the end of the month. Not 1,000% sure. But spring ball is also where you get refined things going on, and you get coaches out here choosing. And Brian Kelley chooses violence and winning over moral code. And I'm not bad at you. You know what? This is what we're going to do, LSU fans. The way we're going to pattern this is Brian Kelley chose the Second Amendment. He is a lover of the Second Amendment. And if people don't remember, a few weeks ago, wide receiver Malik Neighbors was arrested for a misdemeanor gun charge. They told him in the police report that if he gave up his weapon, they would drop the charges or they would lower it to a misdemeanor. They made him give up the weapon, but it's still a crime. And when you commit crimes, you're supposed to be punished. A lot of schools will make a guy miss a game or miss some time away to let them think about this. If he does this, do you know what LSU's first game is? It's Florida State. Malik Neighbors is one of their best wide receivers. Ain't no way in hell Brian Kelley is letting a little gun charge come in the way of him potentially winning or losing the game. He will have, to put it to no pun intended, he's going to have all his best weapons and bullets available for that Florida State game. Brian Kelley says that wide receiver Malik Neighbors will not miss any game time as a result of the arrest and misdemeanor gun charge that was dropped. Kelley said there will be internal discipline, meaning he will run a couple 110s. He will not have to apologize to anybody, and basically that'll be the gist of Malik Neighbors. He is saying that man better, like, if you think about it, think about what the University of Alabama just went through with their basketball team. They got motherfuckers handing off guns and shooting bitches, and they still ain't suspending people, man. You have no, like, the only thing America understands is winners. When you understand that, you will, I promise you, you'll the way the world looks and operates will completely change. Just win. If you're a loser, losers don't get respect here. And the higher value you win, the better you are. Everybody likes it stinks. It's why the 1%, the 5% are the 1% and the 5%. And everybody else is normal. And everybody cares about what other people do because they're winners. Or when winners lose, it looks worse. Speaking of winners, speaking of the 1%, this might be the most NFL heavy show that we've had in quite some time. The 1% are weird. They do things that normal people don't do, and you have to be obsessed. In order to be great, you have to be obsessed. One of my favorite people that I used to listen to time and time again, C.T. Fletcher, he used to call his lifting his magnificent obsession. That's how you become that's how you become a Hall of Famer. Apparently, also being very fertile is a part of this as well. You know, everybody talks about my dog, Antonio Cromartie, who I was with, who, if you hang out with him, you see him interact with his children. I don't care what anybody says. You can have multiple baby mamas and a lot of kids and still be a pretty damn good parent. People like to bash parents for this. Let me tell you this. The minute you have more than one kid that's less than 10 years apart, you are already fucking up, because it's impossible to give the adequate amount of time to each one of those children that is necessary. I'm telling you, like right now, real talk, Killer is going to be playing tackle football in the fall, not because daddy thinks it's safe. It's because his brother's playing tackle football in the fall, and I don't have time to drive one to soccer practice all the way across town and the other one to football practice. It's literally the only reason it's happening. Killer's birthday is in October. If Trey is playing football at football, you know what happens with Killer's birthday? Killer's birthday revolves around football. Actually, even if Trey wasn't here, daddy covers football. Killer's birthday revolves around football. That's what happens when you have my sister. Same way. Does that mean my mother doesn't love my sister? Nah, she might not. The point is, you gotta get in where you fit in. My big daddy had 10 kids with one woman. Ain't no way he was able to give 10 kids. So when y'all be talking about, which was funny, did you see the world go in an uproar when they really thought Nick Cannon was gonna have a show with Kevin Hart talking about who wants to be my next baby mama?
Oh, really?
That's a part of some show that they're actually doing. They're gonna do like a scripted show. Right. But like they made it seem like it was really, and people were like, oh, rah, rah, rah. Like, again, why do you care? Anyways, that's just when people realize that you like those, no, they're winners. Nick Cannon's rich. Actually, really, Nick Cannon. When I heard David Banner, who became more woke after this, say he got pulled over for going like 180 in a Maserati or something like that. Something, I don't know, one of them fast ass cars. And the police officer pulled him over and said, "Why were you doing this?" He said, "With all due respect, officer, I'm rich. I did it because I can. I can afford the ticket." And why does Nick Cannon have a bunch of baby mamas with different women? Because he can. He can afford it. 50 Cent has a great song. Have a baby by me, baby. Be a millionaire. A lot of y'all should probably, instead of going food stamps at EBT, maybe consider having a baby by Nick Cannon. That's all I'm saying. Retired NFL quarterback Philip Rivers has expressed the desire to enter the return to the NFL. The reason why I said this is because Philip Rivers has like 17 fucking kids from the same woman. That man has not stayed off of her since high school. But, you know, he's expressed this. He's already contacted the 49ers and the Dolphins about coming out of retirement. He talked to them last year during the 2022 season. He's thinking about doing it. My bad. He has 9 kids. I apologize. But he still has a lot. Philip Rivers is, again, it's hard to just let it go when you're that great. But this is going to be a theme. Motherfuckers are actually entertaining. Philip Rivers is older than me, so I'm 30. I'll be 39 this year. Philip Rivers, I competed against him my first 2 years. He's at least 1 year older than me, so because he left early. No, because he was a redshirt, so he might be 2 years. Because he left my sophomore year. That was his last year. So it's 2 years, 3 years. So he's probably 42, 43 at minimum. People are entertaining this old ass man. Continuing down Dove Kleiman's rabbit hole. Tom Brady. Basically what happened, Tom Brady might not be done after all. According to ESPN. Folks are saying keep an eye on Miami. The Dolphins obviously don't care about Tua or his health. And Tom Brady doesn't give a fuck about his kids or his wife or any of these people. This is what happens when you become that great. Like you just all they know. Think about this. At least since 14 years old, and Tom Brady is mid 40s. So for over 30 years, all he's known is football, and that's not including if you play Pop Warner or middle school ball. All these people know is the world that they're in, and to step away from it is very difficult. And not just compensate, but to step away as from the grind. That's what you know. You fall in love with it. You become obsessed. And people are entertaining two geriatric fucking quarterbacks to be able to come in. We clearly saw Tom Brady regress last year. We knew it was going to happen eventually. But like it was bad last year. He did absolutely nothing to help the Bucs in the worst conference in the NFC. So bad that the Panthers, who fired their head coach, almost made the playoffs with the coach that they didn't even consider hiring because he was black. Sorry, he was black. They didn't consider him hiring him. A guy who pulled you out of the doldrums. Hate me. I don't give a fuck. The Saints and Derek Carr agreed to a 4-year deal for $150 million, with $100 million in total guarantees. He gets $70 million effectively fully guaranteed, $60 million at signing, another $10 million in year 3 vested after year 1. Carr structures his deal to accommodate the cap issues of the Saints. What is 4 divided by 150? Let's do the math. Some of y'all are probably faster than me. $37.5 million for mid. A quarterback that that hasn't really accomplished much of anything since he's been in the NFL. He's just been around the top 15, top 20 quarterbacks in the NFL consistently. Getting rid of 2 young quarterbacks that are already on the Saints roster. Again, keep this in mind. The New York Giants, who absolutely nobody thinks their quarterback is any good. Just re-signed their quarterback. People were talking about the Giants were going to try to look for a quarterback in the draft. But yet, they decided that they wanted to keep this guy. They're going to build with him. It's cheaper to keep her. And I'm trying to find the number, but I know they're paying him a stupid amount of money. Cannot find this to save my life right now. Do you see it? Or I know you, if you're looking for it. But so the Giants, yeah, there we go. Daniel Jones. It's going to be a 4-year deal worth 100. What? 166. So he wanted $40 million. Everybody said it was crazy, right? And he got it. 41.5 if he gets everything everything that he wants, everything done. So he'll make close to $40 million a year. So for those who are keeping score, 2 geriatric quarterbacks, 1 mid quarterback, 1 guy who can't even be considered mid, are all worthy of getting like compensation. Aaron Rodgers, who's getting old, long in the tooth. Everybody's talking about him. That teams are going to have to pay him $58 million this season for him to be able to come. Hold those thoughts, because another team is doing something incredibly stupid, in my opinion. The Tennessee Titans are trying to shop their Titan in the one Derrick Henry. I don't know what any of you guys have believed. Ain't nobody fearing the Titans passing attack. their passing attack is decent at best because everybody's worried about motherfucking Derrick Henry. You get rid of Derrick Henry, everybody in the AFC South will collectively let go a sigh of relief. And we will thank you for your service. This is why when people say stuff about Ant, and I got into it on the spaces, Sheena and Vashti, or at Sheena_Marie3 and at Carolina Blitz have a spaces that they call Quick Blitz for the Carolina Panthers. And that's what we're going to get into next. Collectively, everybody and their mama stated that they don't want Lamar Jackson. They're out of the Lamar Jackson hunt. One of my teammates and phenomenal NFL analyst, one of the brightest football minds I know, Brian McFadden, got on there and straight eviscerated Anthony Richardson. But one of the things that I do know how to do in arguments, and it's why people think I should be an attorney, I listen to your points, and I actually write down your points. And then what I do is I see if your points are consistent with what you believe. And what I mean by that is he crushed him. He said Anthony Richardson doesn't have a lot of tape. His completion percentage is bad. He he's just a good athlete. Did anybody talk about him before he ran the 4.44? And I was listening to this because I support Sheena and Vashti. Shout out to International Women's Day. Those are two phenomenal female reporters. Go follow them, support them. I do. I think you'll enjoy them, especially if you like Carolina sports in general. Go to at Carolina Blitz on Twitter. You'll be able to find it. So I asked him, I said, B-Mac, is the NFL, I asked him questions, is the NFL a copycat league? And are teams interested in Anthony Richardson because of Josh Allen? Both of which he said yes. And then his was his response to why teams are interested in Josh Allen. Josh Allen was able to be with Brian Dable, great coach. They got him a great wide receiver in Diggs. And he's coachable. So those are his three things. I said, it's interesting. I just saw that work in Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence had a bad year with a bad coach and nobody to throw to. They got him a good coach. They got him and Doug Peterson. They got him a good wide receiver in Christian Kirk. His shout out is going to get even better next with the new wide receiver that they got that they just got reinstated. Oh man, I gotta go into that. Actually, I skipped some stuff. Damn it. Yeah, damn it. I skipped. So we gotta go to Lamar Jackson. Then we'll go back to Calvin Ridley after that. And he's coachable. I said, so we don't know if Ant is coachable or not coachable. I think he's coachable. Because now when I brought these points up, the entire space has shifted because they were talking about his technique look better and all these different things. I said, so you're telling me that if he gets a better coach and a wide receiver, that he could be better? Who did he throw to at Florida? He's had 3 OCs in 3 years, one of which is in the NFL. It's just, I understand the critiques, but what I don't understand is the vitriol that comes with the critiques, to where we just can't fathom him being a number 1 overall pick. If you don't like it, blame Josh Allen and blame Jalen Hurts. Josh Allen, I said, go look at Josh Allen's stats at Wyoming. He was under 60% completion percentage. 1,800 yards is what he threw his senior year. I believe it was he was less than 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. They saw some things that he could do. They fell in love with it. That's what happens. I was like, dog, we were in fucking Indianapolis. Everybody was talking about fucking Anthony Richardson everywhere before he ran the 4.44. He's the media darling. He's the guy that everybody fell in love with. There are people who are willing to talk about and consider trading up. People do stupid shit all the time. Like try to trade Derrick Henry when your entire fucking offense is revolved around Derrick Henry. And it might not work. It's not for me to work. My buddy Bernie had this great saying that one of his coaches said about kids that got drafted, that got picked up to go to colleges from out of his program. It's not my job to make them work in college. It's my job to get them to college. It's not our job to work to make it work for NFL coaches. That's why they get paid big money. Some of y'all date mid right now or are married to mid. Y'all the ones got to fuck them, not me. I can't even. I mean, he probably would be a hell of a tight end. But I seen the motherfucker throw 65 yards with a flick of the wrist. Could it possibly be that, and this is what the NFL coaches are saying, is that guys just don't know how to use this guy. And that could be the same thing for Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has collectively had the entire NFL treat him as if he wasn't the only reason that the Baltimore Ravens have been talked about or relevant. 1 year, I believe it was his rookie year, the Ravens lost 8 running backs that year. And you know what he was able to do with that? Still make the playoffs. They talk about, oh, he's just a scrambling quarterback and he's not durable. He's going to get hurt. The only 2 times that Lamar Jackson has been hurt, do you know what he was doing? Sitting in the pocket. Trying to be what you people have tried to make him be. There's a whole highlight film and compilation of him throwing the ball and guys dropping it. Maybe he throws too hard. Maybe he doesn't throw a catchable ball, but I'll use the Anthony Richardson quote. It's not my job to catch the ball for them. Lamar Jackson, is the resume on this? So Lamar Jackson is an NFL MVP and has been trying to have and did things the way that everybody says you should do it. He played a season without a contract, without his contract being negotiated. Now the Ravens are going to have put the franchise tag on him. But here's what they did with the franchise tag. That's interesting. There's an exclusive franchise tag and then there's a non-exclusive franchise tag. When you put the non-exclusive tag on it, it means that a team can match your offer or beat your offer and they'll have to give up some like draft picks or something, but it forces you into a situation where you no longer have the quarterback. I wish I could find it, but a guy talked about the Atlanta Falcons should do the most toxic thing ever and have an and just, all $60 million for the 1 year, knowing that they have it in the cap or something like that, and then just give that they will never be able to match it. But then this happened. Understand what Lamar Jackson is. And everybody keeps talking about if Lamar Jackson had an agent, this wouldn't happen. And that's just not true. His mom represents him as an agent. His mom doesn't go over the fucking contracts. They have a contract attorney. Anybody who thinks that somebody's walking into contract to something that's over 5 figures without having a fucking attorney look after it is a dumbass. Lamar Jackson is a 26-year-old quarterback. He was the NFL MVP in 2019. He was All-Pro in 2019. He's made 2 Pro Bowls. He was a passing touchdowns leader. It's 2019. Now, do I need to go back over with you guys the people who they're trying to bring in 2 geriatrics, Aaron Rodgers, who has not been Aaron Rodgers, if we want to admit it, in quite some time. I think Denny Thompson used to say Aaron Rodgers, it is disrespectful to call him the LeBron James of football because LeBron James is actually good. But Aaron Rodgers, who has not lived up to the hype that he has since he won that 1 Super Bowl. Daniel Jones gets a new contract. Derek Carr gets a new contract. But somehow nobody goes through and combs these and picks these guys apart. But Lamar Jackson, the guy was one of the best in the league at one point. All right, we're back up now. But like Lamar Jackson is who needs to be picked apart and doesn't deserve the money. I'm not gonna say it's racist or there, but like here's what I'm going to prove my point of what it is by just stating the facts. The Panthers, who need a quarterback, are not expecting to pursue Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson. The Raiders, who need a quarterback, are also unlikely. The Falcons are also unlikely. The Commanders are also unlikely. The Jets are also unlikely. What happens is this. There is a thing called collusion. And last year, something unprecedented happened in football. It happens in every other sport, but for people to, I need you to know this. See Pro Sports CBA. What happens is a basketball player will not sign a contract that is not guaranteed. A baseball player will not sign a contract that's not guaranteed. For the first time in the history of the NFL, Deshaun Watson, with a fucking pending investigation, signed a fully guaranteed contract with the Cleveland Browns out of desperation. It started a trend, and that's what Lamar Jackson wants. He wants a fully guaranteed contract. The NFL cannot let that happen. Why? Because if he does it, then everybody else is going to start commanding fully guaranteed contracts. The haves have to protect their have from the nots, while the nots are trying to get what the haves have. And it's clear that is so big. This is why the brand is so big, the shield is so big, that you're going to go against your own best interest in order to protect the collective whole. The only way to really break this up is for the next CBA, the players, to try to find something that punishes franchises for consistently being ass. So basically, you have to make moves that prove that you're trying to get better. I would have punished the Jaguars, but it ain't got nothing to do with me. But you cannot sit here with a straight face and say that this is fair. Doesn't mean you have to care. It just means you can't say it's fair, because we've seen guys who are way worse than him get pushed out. And we've seen this happen before. It's just like the Cap thing. You say whatever you want to say about Cap. You can say he wasn't that good, but blah, blah, blah. There were not 64 quarterbacks better than Colin Kaepernick. There weren't 32 quarterbacks better than Colin Kaepernick. A guy who went to back-to-back conference championships and truthfully won a Super Bowl because he kicked the Ravens' ass so bad that they had to unplug the PlayStation and reset that bitch. If you remember, the power went out. I don't believe anybody deserves to be anywhere. That's a private business. But what I can say is when something's not being done kind of fair or in good faith, we should be able to call it out and at least be able to say, hey, man, that's bullshit. Because let me go and look. Maybe I'm wrong about Derek Carr. Because I just don't remember Derek Carr being considered. He's 31 years old, so he's 5 years older than him. He's never been all pro. He's never been an MVP. He's never been a conference MVP. He's never been a conference offensive player of the year. He's never been anything. He's never been a leader of anything. He's gone to the Pro Bowl 4 times, but I guarantee if we go look at those Pro Bowls, it was probably after a lot of scratches. Maybe I'm wrong about Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, he's a spunky. Yeah, but that doesn't spunky doesn't do anything. Like it's one of those words that like describe like my God, he's got. Well, he did decent when they were. He threw 15 touchdowns this year. Well, this year was a quad ball. He threw 10 touchdowns the year before with 7 interceptions. He threw 11 touchdowns the year before that with 10 interceptions. His best year arguably was his rookie year, and they were ass. He can get $41.5 million. Yeah, that's crazy. I'm not asking you to believe that anything else. I'm just laying it out. What this is this year, we're trying to compare apples to apples. You feel comfortable with Daniel Jones leading your hold up. Like you got a guy who led a guy who everybody says is just a running quarterback that led the league in passing touchdowns. It's not about even his race. It's about making sure another motherfucker, another one of these poors doesn't get a fully guaranteed contract. Because if they know if he gets the fully guaranteed contract, all hell will break loose. And I'm cool with that. I just want people to at least admit that this is what's going on. But the cool thing is, it's not my problem. It doesn't affect my pinky bank. I'm just stating the obvious. But the obvious is this. I have to give props and credit where credit is due. I still don't like him as a general manager. But I gotta say, like, Ben Baalke's like done a master class, man. Like, it's been really fucking good. Like, when this trade happened, it made absolutely no fucking sense. The Jags were reeling. It looked like the Jaguars had just given up hope. They traded for Calvin Ridley, who had been suspended for a year. Now, Calvin Ridley's my age, but it's still in his first NFL contract. He's old. He will be the youngest NFL wide receiver on our roster, but the oldest. Still can go. Not my problem. He traded for Calvin Ridley. I was like, man, what the fuck are you doing? That doesn't do anything for us this year. But now we fast forward and you look at the free agent class. There are no really good free agent wide receivers that help you get better. When you look at the wide receiver class in the NFL, where you're picking at, you wouldn't be able to get a wide receiver. Well, Calvin Ridley was officially reinstated into the NFL yesterday. I want to read off this article by John Osher, who's the Jags senior beat writer for the Jaguars.com. This means he is eligible for all team activities. That means he can work out, he can come out on the field, he can get rehab, he can do all these things. He has been uber productive in the NFL, and Miles, when I joke and say that he is my age, I'm 10 years older than him. But he's 28 years old in his rookie deal. To put it in perspective, Christian Kirk was 24 years old last year when he signed. I believe that was Christian Kirk's. This is Christian Kirk's third deal. Ridley, who played collegiately at Alabama, was the number 26 overall selection in his 2016 NFL draft. He played his first 4 years in the NFL with that franchise. He caught 248 passes for 3,342 yards and 28 touchdowns. He is a true number one wide receiver. That's what I said. He's considered a frontline route runner and a potential number one wide receiver. He's dope with he's crisp with his routes. So Jaguar fans should be fine. He's a fit with the Jaguars offense. The Jaguars offense ranked 10th in the NFL in points and total yards. This is with Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, and Marvin Jones, Evan Ingram, and Travis Etienne. I don't think they bring back Marvin Jones. But when you add Ridley to this, a guy who consistently gets over 1,050 over this, let me go back and tell you what his yards were when he was here, when he was playing. 2020, he had over 1,300 yards. The man is a beast. And he's ready. He's set out a year. The man is ready to go on and ball out. Now, when you look at what the Jaguars return on offense, which we kind of hinted at, Calvin Ridley obviously being the number one wide receiver, which is sexy. But you have Trevor Lawrence coming into his second year Doug Peterson system, meaning he'll have a better understanding of it. Ingram, Zay Jones, and Christian Kirk all had career highs in receptions and yards in that first season. Travis Etienne had over 1,100 yards rushing in his first year. Because remember, he got hurt his rookie year. You have a monster on each level. If Travis Etienne can control his fumbles and you find another running back that can help spill him that's more like James Robinson, holy shit. You have one of the best offenses in the NFL. Sadly, for this to happen, we must play the Boys to Men song. It's so hard to say goodbye. I've been cut. I've been on this side of it. It stinks. But in order for this to happen, they have to sacrifice somebody. EJ Perry was the one that was sacrificed. So sorry, EJ Perry. I hate that it had to be you. Nah, I really don't know who EJ is, but like, I feel bad because he got cut. You know, he was coming in, having a great time. I don't even know how old EJ is. Talking to his mom, talking to his wife, like, man, today, you know how they always tell you got to think positive. Don't come. If you come in and you think negative, the universe is going to be negative to you and blah, blah, blah. No, EJ, this ain't had shit to do with the universe, bro. Like, when people say that shit, like, do they not think what if everybody thought positive? What if the person going up against me has all positive thoughts about beating me? And the universe, both of us can't be right. Yeah, exactly. They were positive about getting that. Matter of fact, do you think these children go around like, you know what? It's a good day for me to get something bad to happen to me. When they go to church, they're not going to church saying, man, you know what? I think it's in God's will for me to get molested today. Or did the priest go in and say, you know what, God, if you could just bring me, like Joel Osteen, like, God, if you could just bring me one. Nah, that doesn't happen. Like the bad shit happens. Like EJ didn't deserve this shit, but he did because Calvin Ridley's better than EJ, and it means more. But I will say this: you're now just like I was talking about on the college side with Jaheim Bell. When you've got to put, you can't put somebody 1-on-1 all game with Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk. And Crazy Zay, when he wants to do his thing, he does his thing. Right now, what this is doing right now is I already know who I'm picking number 1 overall in next year's fantasy draft. I am fucking getting Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is money for over 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. Gotta be. I get Travis Etienne. His ass didn't fumble so much. Bottom line is the Jaguars should have a hot ticket again this season. Jaguar fans should be excited. Not saying you're gonna win every game, but you have a lot that depending upon where they go in the draft, if they get a good like right now, you're in a position to not have to draft pieces that force you to be great. That you have to have overall expectations. Like so, your skill players, like you're expecting them to do this. You can go draft a lineman. That's not don't you dare draft a fucking Taven Bryan type guy. You get something that's secure that you've seen film on. Matter of fact, that's my point. Like, goddamn, I should have brought. Man, you ever had those arguments where it's over?
I call him back.
And then you think the best. I'm going to tag B-Mac. B-Mac, Taven Bryan. Taven Bryan. Taven. Just Taven. What are you speaking of? Have you ever seen Taven Bryan? Do you ever remember Taven Bryan's name being brought up on a University of Florida broadcast? This is when I told people I knew Taven Bryan was the worst draft pick in Jaguar history. Our center that year at Florida State is possibly the worst center that we've ever had at Florida State, and he was whipping Taven's ass. Then I saw Taven get his ass whooped by a fucking by the bag. At Jaguars training camp. They had a drill where they did one-on-ones. And the thing was Taven didn't win one rep in one-on-ones going up against an undrafted free agent that wasn't even going to probably make the team. I believe Calais Campbell had to ask the guy, hey man, just let him win. Let him win so we can get on to the next drill. When you talk about people fall in love with what they fall in love with. Matter of fact, I'm going to text Dave Campbell, just David Caldwell, Taven, what the fuck was you smoking when you drafted Taven Bryan? And can I get some of that? Oh, man. Calvin Ridley being reinstated makes the Jaguars really, really good. Where are we at? Are we at an hour yet? All right, cool. So I'm going to come up to these couple. What I also love is like, putting things together and coming back to things that we've talked about in the past. And just sometimes things happen differently. We just talked about Ja Morant. Whoever did the 8 mile thing was great, by the way. Masterclass there. But one thing I'm not understanding about the Ja saga, right? Well, it is a couple things. Every time we talk about something that bad that happens in the Black community, the first thing they bring up is black dads. Man, if the fathers were just there, no bad things would happen in the Black community. And now everybody's blaming Ja's dad for Ja being wild. The father who was involved is the one who everybody's blaming. Do we not see a problem with this? Maybe, just hypotheticals here, Ja's a grown-ass fucking man who's making millions of dollars, more money than his father could probably ever even think about. And what's really wild about it is you know, I told somebody this. If I get one of these streaming deals, I don't think you can line every Coleman up that's ever been born and every Adams or Watkins, like my entire genealogy. And I don't think we're worth that. Like, so right now, John Morant is making money that's probably more than anybody, like probably more than his gene pool is worth. But what bothers me is when, just like it bothers me when black men act like we didn't make, like especially in media, act like they didn't make bad decisions when they were young. But I hate it when we kind of attack black fathers who did everything that you could want. He protected them. He sent them to private school. He built a basketball goal in his backyard and brought his friends along and helped bring the community along. He's been a proud dad. Can't help that his son plays with a chip on his shoulder and some aggression. Stephen A. Smith comes out this bitch and says, you raised him. You helped get him to this point. Make sure that you don't let anybody get in the way of what he's on the verge of accomplishing. Make sure you do your part to protect him instead of joining in to have a good time like you one of his boys. You're not one of his boys. You're his dad. And that's what I don't like. I'm like, yo, B, what's the deal? Like, why we, like, what the fuck, man? Like, where did all this anger come from? And John Morant's dad has actually made a statement. He's like, am I embarrassed about my son doing this? Yes, but I've been young. We've all been young before. He has to learn how to make some decisions on his own. This is what the fuck happens, man. Like, I'm going to do my damnedest to make sure. It's weird because we live in a world that if you see me slap the shit out of my son because he did something bad, you're going to jump down my throat. But at the same time, if my son goes down, it doesn't have any respect for authority or anybody else, you're going to blast me for not being a good dad. But when I tried to discipline the motherfucker, you didn't want that. You were worried about this, which is why I always tell people what Carmen Coleman used to say to people. Don't tell me how to raise my kids if you ain't going to be the one to post bail for them if they get in trouble. And that's the truth. And I think that's where T is at. I mean, yeah, like shit. Some of y'all do crazy shit and was raised right with both parents. One thing you haven't ever had to do is deal with things with millions of dollars in your pocket. To quote David Banner, sometimes you do shit because you can afford to. Me personally, I'm hiring white men in suits to go everywhere that I go. That's going to be the ones holding the guns. You got to listen. This is why I think it's the type of rappers that people listen to. Rap can tell me a lot about your mentality and your mindset. If you believe Gucci is better than Jeezy, I'm not going to argue with you. I just know where your mind is. If you can't love the luxury rap and the elite lies that are in Rick Ross songs, I know where your mindset is. If you say Jay-Z isn't good or doesn't rap about anything, I know that you don't have a good business acumen. Because here's a bar that Jay-Z said. Jay-Z said a couple of them. Change is cool to cop, but more important is lawyer fees. It's always stuck in my head. And then he said this. Grab a pen. I tell you pricks my plans for the future. I never make the news again. My man will shoot you. That's what happens when you get rich. But next thing is, so John Morant putting the ball on that. He's going to probably get suspended for 50 games now. The Gilbert Arenas thing, which we all love Gilbert Arenas now. And we knew he was crazy. He pulled a gun on somebody over like gambling. I was just in the club with the only problem I have and what I do have with T. Morant, I want you to listen to this. You're a better father than this. Your son's a grown-ass man about to lose millions of dollars for posing with a fucking 380. At least a Glock, son. Come on, man. Be a man. That being said, wrapping it up. Remember we talked about the police officer who was getting trains around on the public dime? Well, now she's about to get more of the public's dime. Sometimes let me see how I wrote it up. Sometimes life comes different at you after it sucks. And she is gonna get paid. after letting people bust off on her, they're gonna have to pay her. She's apparently the chief of police of her department is now got fired over the sex scandal because he used a burner phone to share videos of her and deleted text or while. So basically, you can't share porn that's amateur porn basically. So Megan Hall and now I see why the husband stood by her. This man's like, man, if I'm gonna get embarrassed, man, we're gonna at least get this bread. She's suing after she was fired and became a target in vicious memes for her role in the PD sex scandal. She said, let me try to look at these tweets. Damn, it's another black man. God damn it. Oh man. Oh man. Oh Lord. Davis, a married dad of 3, also grumbled that his own normal pimp attempts to bed Hall had failed where others had succeeded, agreeing with the pal that she had a little tight. Oh God. Yeah, I'm not gonna read all this, but bottom line is the chief. It's crazy what police believe. Like police basically break crimes. I mean, or like break cases open because people talk too goddamn much. And what do they always do? They always have to leave a paper trail. I don't know. But I'm gonna end it with some wholesome news. Even though I think my guy Devin is pandering, and this kid will never go to the Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University. But there's a kid, Blaze, who was actually very fast, social media phenom, very undersized. He's 11 years old, but not bigger than my 9-year-old. Tweets out, after a great talk with @Coach to Bless, proud to announce I've received my first offer for FAMU athletics, and I will be attending the spring game. And you can hear my guy Devin telling him keep his grades up, do a bunch of different things, keep working hard. If we want to play it, we can play it.
Oh, like thank you. I really appreciate it.
I feel good, even though I'm still like Devin. You out here offering up.
Blaze, what's up? This Coach Rich, director recruiting at FAMU.
What's up?
Like, man, but look, whatever. White colleges do it too, but still, this is weird. Look. Is it playing? I don't need to hear it.
Blaze, what's up? This Coach Rich.
Oh, it's 46 seconds. Never mind. Bottom line is you can go check it out. It will be in the description. All links of what we talked about today will be in the description. Congratulations, Blaze, on being able to what did my man Courtney say? If you don't mind. I can't. Man, I gotta get glasses. I need the glass sponsors. Yeah, man, that fucked me up, Courtney. Like, come on, dog. You could have got a knife. I mean, 380s are effective. Don't get me wrong, but like, if you don't go down with a cool gun. Like, shit. But anyways, on that note, guys, continue to check out spring ball. I'll probably be doing a tight ends preview, probably be doing an update tonight. Check me out on Mark Rogers, 6:00 tonight. I'm talking about FSU, talking about a bunch of other different shit. Please make sure you go and you like the YouTube page. We are now at 1711. We are, 289 short from our goal. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We need some more women on here, make it pretty. If you would consider being a member, if we get to 30 members, we're going to have a nice event that we'll do before the Friday before FSU spring game in Tallahassee at a select location for members only. Also, if you're in that $100, the $99.99 membership, you saw what we did in Indianapolis. You saw what we did in the Super Bowl. You get access to all the tailgates. You get to live like big games. So if I'm on the sideline, baby, you're on the sideline. So come check it out. Other than that, man, appreciate you guys for chopping it up with me. And we'll see you guys in a couple of days on Friday.